Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Before this video starts, I just want to give a shout out to, of course, my wonderful members. The Battle of Paper Official, Jesse HOH, Plush Anime Game Adventures, Enchanted Stones, Vanilla Beans, Spacey Demoto, NASA YT, Jster, Levi OC, and David Hero. Thank you guys so much for the extra support. Now back to the video.
And even now blue is always here, and even now blue it shines so clear. I don't need a prayer or even words to say. No matter what I do, I'll never reach your answer. Colors of summer are fields on my heart, and rolling my dad from my cheeks is the silent love to start. The words have you are stuck, it just feels like a curse that I can't contain. Will the two of us meet again? I wish I told you back then. My hands will feel what you read. It's time to rise with this galaxy. So fast about me.
Hey YouTube, it is I, TDI Fan 2024, and welcome to another video. Now, if you watched my Season 2 review of the Total Drama Reboot, then you probably already expected this to come. So here's going to be the first of many few Total Drama related videos I'll be making, and obviously I'm going to start off with ranking the seasons. Now, as you can see on this thumbnail, I will not be counting Total Drama Rama. Why? Because I'm not going to count it. I don't think it's like connected at all to the Total Drama world, if you know what I mean, or the Total Drama lore and all that jazz. But yeah, and also I've only seen like a couple episodes, so I can't really rank it anyway. Unlike the other seasons where I've seen it all completely twice for each season, multiple times for a couple of them. But yeah, you get the gist. So we're only going to be ranking the Total Drama seasons that were actually a part of the competition show. So that also includes the Ridonculous Race. So that's 9 seasons to go. Now, this is all just my opinion. Of course, we're all going to have different opinions, which is completely fine. And I would love to see how you guys would rank these seasons down in the comment section. So please let me know about that in the comments down below once this video ends. With that said, I guess that's all I have to say. Let's just get on with the rankings. Let's go.
Okay, let's do this. Oh, whoa.
Now, this shouldn't really come to a shock. Last place for me has got to be Total Drama Pahkitew Island. Some of you guys may be thinking, how come All Stars isn't last? Well, I'll tell you now. This season was just bad from the get-go. While All Stars, although I hate to admit it, does have a few elements that got some likability from me. Not a lot, just some. And that's why I have it ranked higher than Pahkitew. But Pahkitew has none of that. This season was just dull, bland, boring, and honestly horrendous from start to finish. Like, this season was just so bad. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks about this. The cast, let's just get this out of the way. The cast is not great for the most part. There are a few likable characters here and there, like Sean, Sky in a way, Jasmine, Topher, Rodney, I guess, maybe. I know there's not really a lot of people who like Rodney, but I'm one of the few that does. And yeah, and there's also a lot of obnoxious characters here, like Max and Dave and Sugar and Leonard to some extent. But yeah, like, come on. This cast is just all full of gimmick characters, and it really ruins the I should say the Total Drama touch, because what we really loved about these characters from the beginning of Total Drama was how relatable and realistic they were. Here, there is none of that. Like, you can't say that anybody here, other than, like, I don't know, the twins, are realistic. Or I guess Topher as well. But, like, everybody else here, you can't say they're realistic, or that they're based on somebody that you know, something they went to school with. You can't really say that, right? So this cast was just full of gimmick characters that didn't really make sense, and that really does ruin the Total Drama touch, like I said before. And overall, this season was just so boring. Most of the challenges were boring, and there's a lot of forgettable moments in this season. And yes, there was a lot of horrible derailments in the season as well, specifically with Dave, one character that I don't hate as much as others, but I will admit that his derailment was just off the charts, and it was just so bad and so hard to watch. So yeah, this season was just a mess overall. Can't really give it a higher ranking than like a 4. Honestly, a 4 out of 10 is probably how I'd rank the season. It's really that bad. And what else is there to say? I guess at least the finalists were great. Sky and Sean. Those two made sense. And I was going to be fine with either of them winning. But, of course, Sean winning was great. Or at least him being the quote-unquote canon winner. I don't know if anyone else would consider Sky to be the canon winner. But Sean's win was definitely more realistic and more better, honestly. But yeah, other than that, this season was just bad. Like, there was not really anything memorable about the season. So many annoying characters and all that jazz. What's left for me to say? Pahkitew Island is just such a bad season, and in my opinion, is the worst season of these 9 seasons that I'm ranking. So, yeah, that's why Pahkitew is dead last.
Okay, let's do this. Oh,
Yeah, another season that shouldn't be a shock as to why it's so low on the list. Coming in at 8th place is none other than Total Drama All-Stars. Now, you already know, you've already heard many times why this season is just bad. And I can't really go too much in detail, or I don't really have to, because this season, everybody knows, everybody, it's full of the highs and the lows, if you get that reference. Anyway, Total Drama All-Stars is just such wasted potential. It really is wasted potential. This season could have been the greatest Total Drama season, and they butchered that so hard. Like, first of all, let's start with the cast. For the most part, there are a few characters here that you can definitely see why they're here. Duncan, Gwen, Courtney, Heather, Lightning, Mike, Zoe, Joe, Cameron, Scott, and I guess Lindsay too. I mean, I will admit she did do great in her first 2 seasons. Not so great in the last season. Then there are characters that you are questioning why. Sierra, I mean, I guess she did do really good in her first season, but she was only in 1 season. And you could say the same for Alejandro, but Alejandro was a finalist, so he does have that going for him. And then there's Sam. He's really the most questionable character that is in this cast. Like, even if we were to add somebody else from the Revenge of the Island cast, I mean, Brick is right there. And when it comes to popularity, you could have even easily added Dawn instead of Sam. Sam was just such a questionable choice to add in the All-Stars season. And since he was voiced by, I forgot his full name, I believe his first name is Brian, who also voiced Harold, you might as well just swap him out with Harold anyway, because Harold is a true all-star instead of Sam. But I don't hate the character, I just really hate how he's in this cast. He's really out of place here. And I hope I'm not the only one who sees this, but yeah. Anyway, back to the season. This season was just bad. They derailed so many characters. Gwen, Duncan, Courtney, Heather, who else? Sierra, I guess. I mean, she kind of stayed the same. Lightning, and then there's that whole bit with Mal and Mal, and it was just not great at all. It was very horrifically done. It wasn't done great at all. It was done horribly bad. And overall, this season was just such a mess. Like I did say before, that there was a few likable moments, but like, they're not enough to save the season, obviously. I will say the finale was somewhat enjoyable, but even the finale was enough to save it. And of course, having Mike and Zoe as the finalists, honestly, I would not have them as the finalist, but hey, you do you. This season was just bad anyway, so it could have been anybody, and it wouldn't be enough. It still would not be enough to save the season from being great, or from being horrible, I should say, because the season is horrible. Not as bad as Pahkitew in my opinion, but it's still a very bad season, and that's why it's at number 8 on this list.
Okay, let's do this.
Coming in at number 7, we have Total Drama Revenge of the Island, Season 4. Now, this might be a hot take, because I know this season does have its fans, but in my personal opinion, even after watching it twice, I have to say I never really cared for the season. There's only a few characters here that I do like and that I do consider to be great. You will see once I do my Total Drama character ranking. But yeah, like I said, there's a few characters that I do like and that I will remember. But overall, this season was just okay. This season was not really a memorable season, in my honest opinion. The winner I guess Cameron, he was a pretty good winner. And the finale was pretty dope. Like, Brain versus Braun, that was really awesome to see. And yeah, but other than that finale, it's not really enough to save the season from being just mediocre at best, in my personal opinion. Also, it was nice to see a few cameos from characters in The Last Generation, but they're just cameos, so it wasn't really enough, enough for the fans. I did like the unique take the season had for the show, having a radioactive island where now all the animals have gone to be mutated and all that jazz, but still, that wasn't enough. I noticed that like 3 times, but still, it wasn't enough for me to be completely satisfied with the season. The season was just very solid. Can't really say it was anything more than that, but hey, at least it wasn't a bad season. And the cast, for the most part, is a good cast. There's a few characters here that aren't great, like Stacy, obviously. In my opinion, Anne Maria. I know she has her fans, but I never really cared for her. And yeah, those are like honestly the only two. And Dakota when she became Dakota Zoid. But other than that, the rest of the cast is pretty great / solid for the most part. Yeah, the season was just very solid. Can't really say if it's more than that, but overall, it's just a really solid season. And that's placed at number 7.
Okay, let's do this. Oh,
Top 6, and starting the top 6 is the first of 3 seasons with the first generation cast, Total Drama Action, the second season in the Total Drama franchise. Now, this might also be a hot take, but me personally, this is definitely the weakest of the first 3 seasons. I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, but you're probably thinking, why is Total Drama Action this low? Shouldn't it be in the top 5 at least, maybe even top 4? In my honest opinion, no. While, of course, it was great to see some of the cast return for another season, some of these characters got done so dirty, specifically Trent, Jeff, Bridget, Gwen, and I guess DJ to some extent. The way he got out was just bad. Oh, and Lashana for sure. But there's also a few positive things, like some characters got a boost, like Lindsay, Harold, Courtney, and to some extent, Justin, and Beth, even though I never really cared for her. And I know some of you guys will be defending her for being a finalist no matter what. But me personally, I would have not had Beth in the finale at all. Honestly, Duncan versus Harold or Duncan versus Lindsay would have been a lot better. Hey, I would even take Duncan versus Courtney. That'd be something. But no, we got Duncan versus Beth. I don't even know what they were thinking with that choice. And I know some of you guys who will defend that choice. Feel free to do so in the comments. I just can't see it. Anyway, back to the season. It was nice to have them switch the location. Now they're on a film set or a film lot, and they did movie-related challenges. That was honestly the best part of the season, in my opinion. But that was still not enough for me to have this be ranked any higher than 6th place. The season was just very solid overall. Some great things, some bad things, and also too much Owen. Like, him returning was not a great thing, in my opinion. Even if you like the character, you have to admit him coming back was honestly a bit too much. We get it. He's the character's, or he's the creator's pet. But like, come on. I mean, come on. You can't really have Owen make it that far, right? He already won. So what was the point? Anyway, the season was overall solid. I liked it to some extent, but I just can't have it be ranked any higher than the other 5 seasons that I just liked a bit more. And that's why Total Drama Action is in 6th place.
Okay, let's do this.
Top 5, and starting the top 5, we have the first season of the Total Drama Reboot, or Total Drama Island 2023, however you want to call it. Anyways, yeah, you're probably thinking, what? You're having season 1 ranked lower than season 2? Well, hear me out. I just found season 2 to be a bit more memorable, but we'll get back to that once season 2 comes up in this ranking. As for season 1, it's a really solid start. This cast is pretty great, although this season really didn't do some of these characters justice. Obviously, the yearly boots like Caleb, Axel, Scary Girl, and Michelle, and etc. Like, those characters were pretty much done dirty. But they really did a great thing with the character that didn't make it far, other than Millie. In my opinion, she really overdid her run in this game. Like, she honestly didn't really deserve to make it to the finale of all things, but that's just me. Anyway, back to the season. The animation was really great. I love to see how clean, how slick they really got with the animation. Like, you can tell the animators had quite a fun time, and they actually had the budget to make the season more unique than the standard animation that we got used to with the past 7 Total Drama seasons. Now, this season was really great, and it was honestly a really good fresh start. It was a good breath of fresh air to see how Total Drama would look like in this era with this generation, with all of the new things, all of this. Like, with this generation, it was pretty unique, and it was pretty nice to see it. And what's there to say? Of course, Chef getting the upgrade to becoming the co-host was awesome, and it was nice to see Chef in this new look, in this new light. And yeah, the finale was decent for the most part. I didn't really care for Millie being there, but Priya versus Bowie was a very solid choice to have those two duke it out in the end. And obviously Priya winning, although it was kind of obvious, she was still a great winner nonetheless. And this cast overall is great. Like, there's only a few characters here that I didn't really care for. I'll get to that in the season 2 bit. But other than that, the cast is really great. A lot better than Pahkitew's and Revenge, in my opinion. But yeah, and also the challenges are pretty unique. Most of them anyway. There's a couple of things that wasn't really great, like the whole Jurassic fart episode. Like, what was that? That episode alone dragged the thing down a bit for me. But yeah, overall, the reboot season 1 was great. It was awesome to see Total Drama in this new look, and that's why it's at number 5 on this list.
Okay, let's do this. Oh,
Fourth place, we have season 2 of the Total Drama reboot. This may also be a hot take, but hear me out. This season did do a lot of the characters justice, specifically Caleb, Damien, and MK, for the most part. Yeah, those 3 characters did get a very huge boost, and I respect the crew of Total Drama for doing that, because it was nice to see them get more screen time, more action, more potential, more story, and all that jazz. Then again, this season also derails a couple of characters, like Axel and Ripper, because if you know, that whole couple, that whole romance they had between each other, and it was just not good, not great at all. Millie, for the most part, stayed the same. She got out early. I was completely fine with that. Nichelle, I mean, they did give her a boost of her now being able to do the stunts that she was not able to do in the first season, but she still got out in a BS way. And then there's also Emma and Chase, who are kind of just there too. At least they didn't really get the road or anything. And then there's Priya and Julia. Julia had too much plot armor, which does leave a dent on the season. And then Priya just became so different and honestly unwatchable, at least in the later half of the season, in my opinion. And she made it farther than she should have, just like Owen and Duncan in both season 2 of Total Drama. But then again, Duncan won, and that was great. But Owen, like, these two, they overstayed, Owen and Priya, for sure, in this second season. But then we also saw Owen in a cameo, which is nice to see, and it looks like he hasn't aged at all. And that does give us a glimpse of hope to see if maybe we can have another comeback season to see some of these characters return. That would be awesome. That's what we want. You hear me, Total Drama? That's what we want. Anyway, back to the season. Like I said, the season did help me appreciate some of these characters more, like Caleb and Damien, and it also helped me appreciate these characters less, like Julia and Nichelle, I guess, and Scary Girl too. The finale was pretty great for the most part. Wayne winning was honestly a very safe choice, and I'll talk more about that when I do the winners ranking and the finale ranking, which I plan to do soon. But overall, this season, I've already talked about my thoughts on the season in a separate video, so check that out if you want me to go more into detail. But overall, I just thought the season was a bit more memorable than the first reboot season, and that's why I'm ranking it higher. Overall, it's really great, and I'm glad that the crew behind Total Drama was able to do a great run with this reboot, and I am hoping for them to continue, but we'll see. It really does depend on the ratings. And also, from word of mouth, I've been hearing some news about this Total Drama movie that's currently in development. If that's the case, I'm all down for it, but we'll see how they handle that as well. But yeah, Total Drama Reboot Season 2, very good, and I'm glad that it was made, and that's why it's at number 4 on this list.
Okay, let's do this. Oh,
Third place, we have Total Drama presents The Ridonculous Race. This might come as to a shock for some of you guys to see how high Ridonculous Race is ranked, but allow me to explain. This season was of course, breath of fresh air before the reboot. As you can see, Total Drama decided to change up the format of how they handled their competition show with this season. Instead of having 2 teams and them battling it out for a chance to win $1 million with only one champion, this time around it was based on the, what's the show? What's it called? Something like Race Around the World. I forgot the title of the show, but it's a competition show where we have teams of 2 going around the world on a race, and the final team left will of course be the winning team. That's what this season was based on, and it was great because that really does give the show more breathing room and more opportunities to change up the show in a whole new way to make the season more unique and to be not be the same for the entirety of the show. If you understand what I'm trying to say, it gave them the opportunity to change up the show, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, this season was just really great. The animation did upgrade a bit from previous seasons, and a few of these characters were memorable, but then again, there's a majority of the characters that I never really cared for. Some made it further than I would have had them if I was in charge with the elimination order. But other than that, the season was really great. It was awesome to see these places in the Total Drama way, if you know what I mean. And obviously, it was awesome to see some comeback characters like Owen and Noah. Their dynamic here was great. They're obviously my favorite team. Some of you guys may think they were overrated in this season, but I personally loved the 2 characters, and this season was just great to see Owen and Noah return and do even better than before, like from World Tour. And also, obviously, seeing Jeff again was awesome. And Leonard, he got out first, so I can't really see much about him. But overall, this season was great. It was like World Tour, except they expanded it more with a bigger cast and more places to go. It was awesome. This season was just awesome, and it was one of the first seasons that I watched live on Cartoon Network, so that was pretty awesome, too. With that said, the Ridonculous Race was just such a unique and fresh take of the Total Drama series, and I'm glad that they took the guts to do this, because this could have completely backfired, yet it didn't. I know I'm not the only one who really enjoyed this season, and they went back to the 26 episode format, which was awesome, and that would have helped All Stars, Revenge, and Pahkitew from being a lot better if they stayed with the 26 episode format, but of course they didn't, and I think we all know why those seasons aren't as good as they are. But yeah, the Ridonculous Race was so great. It was a really awesome season. Don being the host was pretty good, although he's definitely no Chris McLean. And the winning team, me personally, I was okay with the Surfers. I know most of you guys would have rather had the Police Cadets win, and most of you guys would probably even consider them to be the canon winners. But me personally, I was fine with the Surfers winning, Jeff taking home the W. Come on. And yeah, the season was just really good. It was a really nice, new, unique season, and that's why it's obviously going to be in my top 3, but it's on my top 2, which we are about to find out which seasons are in my top 2. But yeah, third place, Ridonculous Race.
Okay, let's do this.
Second place, the runner-up season, in my opinion, is the very first season, the start of it all. Total Drama Island, Season 1. Obviously, this is the season that got all of us into total drama in the first place, most likely. If any of the other seasons were your first ever season of total drama, then I'm having questions. But yeah, Total Drama Island. I remember I was on Netflix when Netflix was really at its peak, having multiple shows and movies, not just, their original stuff. This was before they did their own thing, but it was just when Netflix was a streaming service where we could pretty much watch anything. I remember Total Drama was on there, and that was where I first got introduced to Total Drama. I remember watching the first season, and I just fell in love with it. I was in love with all these characters, and if you remember, at the very beginning of this YouTube career, my name was TDI fan and space, I believe, or TDI. It was TDI fan and then TDI.DJ fan, because obviously if you know, you know. I was such a huge fan of Total Drama. I still am, but back then I was like a obsessed fan. I was a super fan of Total Drama. I remember quoting it. I remember like doing multiple Total Drama things, and it was just awesome. Like, Total Drama Island is such a fantastic season and such a great start to this entire series. The cast is great for the most part. There are a few duds like Sadie, Katie, Eva, and Beth. I know you're probably saying, stop hating Beth. Well, I'm sorry, I can't. Anyway, there's a few duds here and there, but for the most part, like, this season was great, and the elimination order was very, very solid for the most part. Like, it made sense for the most part. Heather making it to the top 3 was kind of questionable. Then again, they did give her quite a bit of plot armor here, and I guess it does make sense in a writing standpoint, because obviously she was the main antagonist of the season. You had to have her make it far, otherwise it would make things a bit more boring. But other than that, at least her plot armor wasn't as big of an issue as it was for me with Julia in season 2 of the reboot. But yeah, back to Island. This season is just great. The animation still holds up for the most part, and obviously, like, you have to love this cast. You have to love this generation. Easily the best generation / cast of the entirety of Total Drama, because of how memorable they are, of how great they are. It's just such a great season. Like, you can't hate Island. Objectively, this is the best season. You can't go wrong with it. But it isn't my personal season, or my personal favorite season, which you're about to see why. But yeah, Total Drama Island was so great. I'm glad it exists today, because without Total Drama Island, we wouldn't be getting all the other seasons. We wouldn't be getting my #1 season. So thank you, Total Drama. Thank you for everything. Thank you for changing my life in a way that you will never know, because Total Drama Island, I'm just so glad that I took the time to watch this show and this season specifically, because this season was just great. This show is great. But yeah, Total Drama Island, such a great season. If you know, you know. If you're a fan of Total Drama, you have to agree. I can't recall anyone who doesn't like Total Drama Island season 1. Like, come on. It's just so good. And that's why it's the runner-up in this ranking. But the #1 season, which we're about to find out, is...
Okay, let's do this. Oh, whoa.
If you know me, this should not come to a shock at all. Season 3 of Total Drama World Tour easily takes the top spot in my season ranking. This season is it's just so special, in my opinion. Like, I know it has flaws, but those flaws are not big enough to outshine the greatness that is Total Drama World Tour, Season 3 of Total Drama. Of course, you have most of the fan favorites coming back to return to this show, but there's also a couple of returning characters that didn't get a lot of love in the first season and were completely out of the second season, but they're back, like Cody, Tyler, Noah. I mean, come on, guys. Even Ezekiel, he has a fan base. We can't deny it. He has a fan base. And then they added 2 new characters to change things up, to make things more interesting, to spice things up. Alejandro, the GOAT, and Sierra. Meh. But, those 2 being added to the cast was a really great, fresh, new, start to the show. Even though it wasn't start, but it was a new and unique way to make the show more interesting than it already was. And of course, having it on a plane where you could go all around the world to do these challenges in other countries, it was awesome. And having it be a musical too, I don't really know how most of you guys feel about the musical aspect of the season, but I personally loved it. Not all the songs, but there's a lot of catchy songs like, I'm gonna make it, and this is how we will end it. So, they've got some bangers there. And obviously, overall, the season is just great. The elimination order is a bit questionable for the most part. I did not like how they handled Team Victory. But other than that, the finale, the two finalists, it just made sense. Alejandro versus Heather, antagonist versus antagonist, even though Heather kind of became an anti-hero at the end. And her winning was obviously deserving. But if it were up to me, you know what I mean. Even though his win was just not great overall. If you saw Alejandro's win, then it was just bullshit. Even though I would have liked to see him win. But yeah, Heather's win was a lot more deserved, and it was awesome. So this season was just completely awesome. I'm not going to say it's perfect in any way because obviously, like I said, there are flaws here and there. But those flaws aren't enough for me to be completely satisfied and have such a wonderful time with this season. It was just awesome. Like Total Drama World Tour, such a beloved and memorable season. It's a season that I cannot get tired of. It's a season that I cannot even hate. Total Drama World Tour, such a fantastic season and a great send-off for this cast because this was the last season where most of this cast competed. And yeah, it was just great. Such a bittersweet end. Most of the scene is memorable. Like, I can't really recall any moment in the scene that I don't really remember fondly of. But yeah, also Adam Blanley wasn't a great choice either, in my opinion, too. And the aftermath in this season was a lot more memorable than the aftermath in action. So this season does have it going for it, too. And what else is there for me to say? Total Drama World Tour was such a wonderful season that, of course, I had to put it in the top slot for this ranking because it's just a scene that I can't hate. It's a scene that I can legit watch and remember fondly of whenever I can, time and time again, because it's just that good, in my opinion, obviously. So yeah, with that said, that is why Total Drama World Tour takes the top spot in my list. And that's my complete ranking of the Total Drama seasons ranked. This is all just my personal taste and what I think about all the seasons. Obviously, my list is not the right list. Let me know about your lists down in the comments down below. I would love to see how you guys think about these seasons, how you would rank them. It's going to be a very fun discussion down in the comments. So please do yourselves a favor and do myself a favor and place a comment down there so we can have a nice chat about Total Drama. I know I'm not the only one here who loves Total Drama to bits. If you've subscribed, if you've joined the community, chances are you are a big Total Drama fan, or as much of a Total Drama fan as I am, because most of my content is all about that Total Drama goodness, if you will. Like, of course, TPI and character elimination. Obviously, we're inspired by Total Drama overall. And Total Drama was just such a great and fun watch. I'm so glad I watched Total Drama when I did, because if I didn't, I would be a completely different man, if you will. Total Drama really changed how I did things, or how I watch stuff, how I watch specifically like reality shows and stuff. Total Drama was such a big stepping stone to my interest in all that jazz and this channel overall. So I'm very glad that I watched Total Drama, and I'm so glad it exists today. Like I said, we're really hoping for that third season to eventually come out, and if that movie does happen, I wonder how it's going to work. But nonetheless, you can guarantee that I'm going to watch it no matter what. Total Drama is such a delight, and I'm so glad that it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my life now, because as you can see, I'm making this video right now. So yeah, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. The next Total Drama related video I'll be making might be the winners ranking. If not, it'll be the character ranking. Or I might just say that for last, because that one's going to definitely be my longest video when it comes to total drama. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching this ranking video. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.